to the Team Babe podcast. I'm Jason, and I'm Babe.
And I'm Robin, and I'm Babe.
Welcome back, Babe.
Hey, thanks.
What did you do on your summer vacation?
Oh, boy. Well, I mean, other than working on season 4,
Yeah.
I went on some vacations, and I wrote in my journal,
Wow.
and I contemplated my life.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah. Well, I heard this exciting story about some erotic fiction that was being penned by a certain someone. And so I've just been on pins and needles waiting for the big public release.
Oh, that's not going to be a public release. That is a for your eyes only release. And you can read it at any time. In fact, I am awaiting your feedback.
Oh, okay.
And you must
Gotcha.
not be super excited about it because, days have passed.
Well, I didn't even know. I sort of forgot that you were penning something, and then that I already had it.
Yeah.
Because originally you were like, "Well, I'll let you know when you can read it."
No. I was like, you can read it anytime. And you're like, all right, I'll read it later. So exciting. Yes, that's my first foray into erotic surrealism.
Yeah.
So I will await your feedback.
Yeah.
However, it will never see a public release.
Right.
Yeah.
So we won't be doing a Robin's Words or Words with Babe or Poetry Corner with that anytime soon.
Absolutely not.
Maybe in another 40 years.
Maybe in another life. Yeah. I can't really say whether or not I'm going to present it to the public until I get your feedback.
Okay. Yeah.
So
that is a critical.
You might say, "Oh, it's crap."
That's a critical step, I guess. Gotta get to that.
Yep.
Well, that's great. Yeah. My summer vacation has been spent, constructing.
Building
Building things up. Yeah. Making fences, tearing down walls.
Wow.
Yeah. It's been great. It's been nice to get a little break,
Yeah.
Think about life.
Yeah.
What is it all about?
What?
I think I figured it out.
What is it?
I'm not telling. I think it's one of those things that you have to find for yourself, or else you're just never going to appreciate the fact that you own this knowledge, right?
You mean you're not even going to share it with me?
No, I will, but off camera. I don't want
Okay.
I don't want everybody to know the truth just yet.
Sure.
Yeah. No, it's good. It was good to get a little time away and try to, work ahead on some interviews.
I know, it's been
talk
fun.
to some people. We got new stuff for this season.
Yep.
That we're really excited about. We've been hanging out virtually.
As
We've
you
been
do.
doing virtual hangouts in this COVID land time.
Yep.
And talking with some friends, and yeah, it's been really fun.
It's been
It's been. Sorry,
No.
I can't do drops. So I
Shush.
have to sing them.
Yeah. So these interviews are our double dates. So we've instituted this double date format where we get together with some people.
Yeah.
And we do a double date and we talk to them about their love story, because you heard ours,
Yeah.
that's only good so many times, right?
Yeah. Probably not gonna. Not everybody's story is going to be as exciting as ours and have so many twists and turns to the point where
so true.
You need 10 episodes to get through it or whatever.
Some people have a much more normal and sort of relatable, story of events.
Yeah.
And I respect that.
Yeah. Some people call me the space cowboy,
I don't.
No. No, you don't.
Some people call me the gangster of love.
Yeah, that's true.
You do. Anyway.
You are my love gangster. No, I think the funny thing, the fun thing about, talking with other people about their relationships and stuff is that it becomes apparent pretty quickly that everybody's story has all kinds of twists and turns and stuff. There's an infinite amount of material out there.
That's for sure.
And stories and oddities and weird shit that happens to people and just funny stuff. I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah. And so for this episode, I think the general guideline is that it happened on the internet.
It happened on the internet.
Yeah, and which is funny because for us, it did not happen on the internet because it was so long ago.
Yeah, I mean, for us, and we were not like, Luddites or anything. We didn't not use computers.
Sure.
And stuff. You were a teen all over the AOL chat rooms and stuff. I was on, pre-internet bulletin board systems. I even hosted one of my own for a while.
Wow.
But our relationship was, for us anyway, pre-internet.
So our relationship is like Halt and Catch Fire. All right. And Kathi and John's relationship is like
the .com
smartphone. Okay.
Yeah.
So like that's like the span of like the start times. You know what I mean? Like ours was like use the like landline phone to call.
Yeah.
Theirs was happening on like internet dating.
Yeah, theirs was happening virtually.
And it's funny because we're pretty much all the same age, but because we just, for whatever reason, got started so young, we're like in dinosaur times of dating. Like we're in the pre-digital dating realm.
It's like it is prehistoric.
Prehistoric, yeah.
Yeah,
and they're much more in the normal realm of like, oh, hey, we were like adults and we went to college and, like we
thought deeply about things.
Yeah,
and,
we had a career.
Planned some things out.
And we met as adults in an adult way.
Whereas you're just like, and I guess me too, we're just like, let's shoot from the hip, man. It's the Wild West.
Wasn't even planning on shooting from the hip. That's just what I do.
Yeah, man.
So I thought it was interesting to get a completely different, like perspective on like how people meet and how they get together and why they stay together. And so, I think there's something to be said for that. You don't have to have the same beginning, right?
Yeah.
To have the same ending. That
for
we're
sure.
just kind of staying together and,
doing the damn thing.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Everybody's doing the damn thing is different for each person, but
that's right.
Kathi and John's story is a lot different from ours, but in the end, it's all the same, and I think that that's kind of cool.
Yeah. In the end, the love you make is equal to the love. Wait, I forget. I'll have to consult that lyric on genius.com.
The love you make is equal to the love you take, or something.
But
like
it
that.
might be the reverse of that too. I don't know.
Oh, you'd have to ask John, right?
John and Kathi?
No, John Lennon and Yoko. Right?
But no, that was Ringo singing that, right?
What? My favorite Beatles sang that song, and I thought it was John all this time.
Maybe not. Maybe it's Paul McCartney.
Okay.
Maybe it was George Harrison.
It sure as hell wasn't George.
No?
No.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, so, I mean, that's a good segue because we wanted to take this time to announce our new podcast that will be coming out that is all about us learning about the Beatles, the rock group from the 1960s and early 70s. No?
What?
You're not into that. Yeah. Anyway, that's bullshit. This is not bullshit. This was a fun time chatting with our friends John and Kathi, and we hope you enjoy it.
Yeah. And we want to introduce our very first interview of season 4.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
So welcome to season 4. We have John and Kathi on the show. They are going to be our first interview of the season. Thanks for being our guinea pigs, and thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah. So we are interested to hear about your story, your love story, so to speak. And we know that you're married and all of that. And so we just want to hear about like how you met and how it all came about.
You start, John.
It all started on the internet.
It did. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so we're a product of the internet dating age. But
eHarmony specifically.
Sponsored. Just
Not sponsor. I'm still waiting for my invite to be on one of their commercials.
yeah, this might be it.
For sure. So how long ago?
2012. Yeah, 2012. Yeah, so just as it started being okay to tell people that you met on the internet, like it was like not saturated where everyone you knew was doing online dating. There were no apps, thank goodness. Some of them sound like a nightmare. So yeah.
But it was after only the weird people were dating on the internet.
Yes, I mean we think that because we met on the internet. So
like the day before we met, that's when it got
right. Yeah, 2011 was the end of the weird people, and we met in 2012 on the internet.
You guys.
I know. I mean, but you got in under the wire.
Yeah.
My brother met his first wife on MySpace, so
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
It didn't work out, but you know.
Yeah, I noticed you said first wife, which was interesting.
Right.
Yeah, he's a Mormon and doing the whole polygamy thing. No, I'm just joking. Sorry.
Leave
Corey.
your brother out of this conversation. All right. Well, anyway. So you met on eHarmony?
We did, yes. And it was so I kind of feel like I had sort of maybe the opposite approach, sort of, where like I signed up in February. I remember 7x7 magazine, which is like San Francisco magazine, had a spread, of course, for Valentine's Day in February, of like these are all the online dating sites. And here's like the type of people, like here's the kind of experience you're gonna have on each of these sites. I think it was like Match, they had eHarmony, they had Plenty of Fish, and they had JDate. And honestly, JDate sounded like the best one, but I'm not Jewish. So I had to go with my second choice, which was eHarmony, which I liked because you had to pay to join. Like I didn't want any, just like free rando invitations. Did not sound like a good plan. So I joined and I told myself, okay, you're going to do it for 6 months. You're just going to see how it is. Like you're going to, I don't think I told myself a certain number of people that I was going to go out with, but I was like, you're going to do it for 6 months and try it out and see how it goes. And so John was my date number 20.
Oh, I don't know what number you were.
Nice.
Well, you had a different approach.
I had a different approach for sure. So
hear about that.
Well, so I had a computer program so the process was like that. It would like ask you a bunch of questions and then you kind of exchange answers and questions and then eventually it became a little bit more free form, and a lot of like the early ones were they were always the same steps every time. And so I had computer programs that would just fill them out for whatever. So like whatever questions people asked me, I would just have it to shoot back the answer that I had for it, that I always did every time. And so that way I could kind of automate a bunch of things out of the way of like the
software engineer,
Yes, exactly. So like it was a very guided communication process. So essentially like on eHarmony, you didn't go on there and look at people's profiles. They would send you like 3 to 5 matches every day and you would either say yes or no. And then that was it. So I really liked that it wasn't a time sink. So if both people that it paired said yes, then you would start this communication process. And so that's the part that John is saying, okay, for those first 2 steps of the communication process, I just wrote software to handle that for me because it was the same things. It was predictable. My answers didn't change. So he did that. I also eventually figured that out, and there was a part where you got to like written responses, and I had like a whole spreadsheet of my responses that I would just copy and paste into it. And yeah, you were on it for longer, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. How long were you on it for?
I don't remember. It was like probably like almost a year.
A year. Okay. It was less than 5 months for me. Yeah.
I'm so curious, like, to how with all this spreadsheet and like auto answers, like,
Uh-huh.
if you stood out like to the other one, you know what I mean? As like someone that like made it through the first round or whatever.
Yeah, that's a good question. So my thing was, I would say yes to someone whose profile, like when I looked at it, their written description and like their photos that they had, if after viewing that, there was actually something that I saw that I wanted to ask them about, like I went by, are they even interesting? Like, do I want to have a conversation about something that I saw on their profile? So I don't necessarily remember the specifics of John's profile, even what it said, but what I remember about it was that there was like a variety of interests and like a variety of scenarios that he was pictured in. And that was important to me. Like I was not interested in somebody that like could only do one thing, like only the backyard barbecuer, or like only the camper, or actually only they go to fancy parties. Like they need to be able to do all of those things.
Oh, how interesting. That's cool.
Do you even remember my profile?
No.
I don't remember my profile.
What an honest answer, man. Yeah. Like, yeah.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't remember anything until our first date.
Yeah. So
What do you remember about our first date?
Well, I remember a lot about our first date. I remember trying to park because it was on a hill.
John was living in Palo Alto and I was living in San Francisco, so he came up to the city.
Yeah. And our first date was at Straw, which was it's closed now, but it was like high end with like a carnival theme.
oh, that's
So yeah, it was pretty quirky. It had like you could order like a wine slushy, which is kind of normal for that time. There was like a corn dog that was like kind of super high end corn dog or something like that, like funnel cake.
And the restaurant was all kind of carnival themed as well. And so like they had one of the tables, the seating was a tilt-a-whirl.
Oh, wow.
So like our first date, we sat in a tilt-a-whirl and had brunch.
Nice.
Yeah.
So wait, what
Yeah.
is
You know, like at the fair where it
yeah.
goes around in a circle, you know, and it has those like metal seats that you sit on.
Where's what's the tilting part? Does it like tilt? Like
The seat doesn't tilt, but like the actual carnival ride, so your seat is spinning for the whirl, but then as it goes around, there's change in elevation.
But you weren't actually moving
This
while
was-
you were eating.
No, this was like retired carnival gear that had been put into this restaurant.
Because I was like, if you were moving like that while you were eating, that I would have barked. But
Thanks,
No, it
Benedict
makes
doesn't
sense.
like, stay put under those circumstances.
yeah.
No. It was stationary. It had been retired. It lived a good carnival life, and now it was in a San Francisco restaurant.
I love it. And I like that you went there for brunch. Why brunch and not dinner?
First date, they do not get dinner. That is too big of a time sink.
Oh, I gotcha.
Mm.
That's interesting. You're like, I gotta test this out on brunch, and then see if you graduate to dinner.
Yeah.
San Francisco's a big brunch scene too, though.
Yeah.
Is that just a personal preference? Like, is it just from dinners, other dates and dinners where it was just, you were like, okay, I gotta quit doing that.
That's funny you should ask. I actually think it's like kind of obviously this was some time ago, but I think it was part of the dating culture at that time. Like it would be a big ask to invite a first date to dinner, which now that I'm saying it sounds like kind of like awful and shallow, but that was just part of the dating culture.
Oh, it's super interesting because I mean we've been together for I think ever now, and so like I mean I don't know anything about the dating world.
I know it's
So-
like it's kind of funny. Like our like paying attention to dating ended in like 1997. So it's just funny because we were just kind of like, oh right, there's that like it continued on even after we stopped dating. Like you know what I mean? We're just kind of like out of the loop.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like it just every 5 years or so, it really evolves into kind of all new social norms around it.
Yeah,
Right.
for sure.
You gotta wonder what it's like now.
I don't. It just sounds awful. I don't wonder at all.
I just keep picturing that sometimes. It's like trying to meet somebody during COVID and you can't even go in the restaurant or whatever. So it's like, you know, just maybe take your brown bag lunch and meet on a street corner or something. Stand far away. It's not very romantic. Anyway,
Gotta be a rough time for dating now for sure.
but yeah, I'm thankful to not be doing that right now.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Uh,
So John won me over on that date because it was like a brunch menu. So they had breakfast items, but they also had like lunch items.
Mm-hmm.
And he was really torn between chocolate chip pancakes and Philly cheesesteak.
Yeah.
And he just said, you know what? I'm going to order both. And he ordered both. And I just really liked that about him. I was like, yeah, you don't have to pick. You can just eat half of each and box it up, and great.
oh, that's great. I love it.
You're both really good. I'm glad I did that.
So did you like being surprised? Was it kind of like, oh, I wasn't expecting that? Like it was a little bit of a surprise. It's probably kind of nice.
It was like it was a little bit of a surprise, and I think it displayed maybe confidence isn't exactly the right word, but sort of a like this, sort of I don't exactly know how to describe it other than confidence.
The beat of my own drum.
Yeah, like kind of like just like a comfort of like saying, hey, this is what I want, and I'm not going to be bothered by what the server thinks or like what this gal that I'm on a first date thinks. And it was funny too because the table in the Tilted World was not that big.
That's right. That's
So we each have our mimosas. I think we each had coffee too.
I had a Bloody Mary.
John had I must have had a mimosa, and you had a Bloody Mary, and then we have like 3 entrees on our table. So I do remember the table being really crowded.
Yeah. The Bloody Mary was important because I had the Bloody Mary Pinterest board
Yes.
Oh wow.
where I collected Bloody Marys, but that's how I knew what day it was. So if you ever wanted to know what day our first date was, I could figure it out by looking at the Bloody Mary board.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh wow.
Oh, interesting. So what was in the Bloody Mary? Was it the kind that had like a hamburger on the side?
I kind of.
The pancakes and
I can look it up. I think they were one of the ones that had kind of some sort of meat on it,
Like a bacon or a
or a
shrimp.
sausage or something.
Yeah.
Or
We'll find the
Somewhere
photo. We'll
somewhere.
send it to you later.
great.
That'd be fun.
yeah.
What else do you remember from first date, John? And let me just like preface this with I don't remember shit. So don't worry about it. I mean, I won't be offended anyway.
I feel like I remember the parts that she's described. Like I remember the occasion. I remember we had a really fun conversation afterwards in the park. where she had some theories about her family, and that she shared with me.
You can say it. It's not. I'm embarrassed because I said this to somebody that I just met. I'm not embarrassed about the topic.
You don't think he'll care?
No.
Okay. Well, she had. I remember that she had mentioned that she had this theory that her dad slept naked,
But
it was unconfirmed.
Well, I don't remember why we even started talking about this.
I don't either.
But I think I was describing how, like, as a kid, I'd try to go to my parents' room in the morning, but the door would be locked. And I'm like, I think it's because my dad sleeps naked. And so then we had like this 5-minute conversation about probably my dad's a naked sleeper, which since that time I have confirmed it because I brought it up to him like, hey, by the way, I like had a conversation about this with John on our first date.
Can we get some answers, Dad?
Yeah.
It's confirmed now, yes.
I felt like you were exploring the way I kind of remember it was that like you like this had occurred to you and you were exploring the idea with me.
Like,
Yeah.
oh, now I get it. Now I know why the door's locked. Pretty sure.
Yeah.
I got a good theory here.
Yeah.
That's
I was told that I was pretty sure he did too after what you described to me.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. So between the parents sleeping naked conversation and the double entree order, it was just a great time.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. It was fun. Yeah.
It was fun. Yeah.
It wasn't so serious.
Yeah.
Like, I imagine that some first dates can be really serious because people are nervous or whatever, and you know, it can be kind of like stuffed shirt a little bit. But that does sound like fun.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I just make stupid jokes, so.
Well, this is another reason why we're together.
And why we do a podcast.
Sure.
Put the stupid jokes to some use. So then after this first date, did you guys just, was it just kind of like, oh yeah, we're just going to keep dating and it's all just like a given that, it's going to go on from there, or?
I feel like it just kind of progressed, but I don't remember a ton of our first dates.
After that?
Yeah.
I do.
You do?
Yeah. So we went to the place in Palo Alto, the Greek.
The wine? Oh.
No, that was third date.
Third date.
Mm-hmm. No, second date was the Greek place. What was that place called? It's Kokari's sister restaurant.
Yeah.
Anyways, there's a restaurant in Palo Alto that's delicious that we went to for our second date. That one was dinner. It's appropriate. If you like the person, you can do the second date for dinner. Evia, yeah. Yeah, and then I don't know if you were dating other people. I was kind of dating other people, not seriously, but so I think it wasn't like a very intense of like, what is happening here? You're amazing. It wasn't that sort of thing. It was just always a really enjoyable, comfortable, interesting, like it felt always like very straightforward and
yeah, I kind of remember it that way.
Yeah.
So not like not drama, just kind of
no, zero drama. And it was interesting, like for me, I'll say that like that period in my life being single, I had made a really active decision to approach dating differently. And so a good friend of mine a few months earlier had pointed out to me, because I was feeling frustrated, like, just these people I'm meeting is gross. And she like, points out the obvious, which is helpful, but also like, oh God, why didn't I notice that? That she's like, well, you just wait for people to pick you. You don't ever pick the person. And I was like, oh, you're right. You're totally right. So, like during this period of dating, I, like going out on a first date with somebody, I would always follow up with them the next day. And I would just tell them, hey, I'd like to see you again. How does this sound? Which was that was a big deal for me to do that. Or I would tell them hey, thank you for your time. Wishing you all the best. It's not the right match for me, which I had never done before either. I had just kind of either tried to guess or just, waited hoping that they would pick me. I never really asserted hey, this is what I want. And then leaving the ball in their court. Yeah.
Interesting. That's cool.
Yeah, that's a good idea though. It probably made you feel much more in control of what was happening.
Sort of empowering.
Yeah.
Too, because you're not leaving unknowns hanging out there, or you're being wishy-washy, making decisions.
Yeah, it definitely, I don't know that it gave me control of the situation. It certainly didn't give me control of the other person because they still got to pick. But it gave me a moment to say yes, this is for me, or no, it's not. And I just made it my habit that that's what I'm doing each time.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So I give that advice to anyone that does online dating or is dating a lot, just take a stand.
Yeah. Let them know how you feel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I kind of thinking back on, having a crush on someone or just kind of lusting after someone and then them being completely oblivious. And then you me anyway, thinking oh, they'll notice. I'm sure they're going to notice how infatuated I am with them or whatever. No.
Mm-hmm.
It's they can't tell just by looking at you. You have to say something. And this is really hard though, especially in person. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess one benefit, if you've met them online, the follow-up can be an email and it's not strange.
Not as intimidating.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You don't have to go to see him at school on Monday.
Yeah, no. Mm-mm.
Yeah, that awkward bus ride and whatnot. Mm-hmm. So then, when did you guys know that you were, sort of headed into more serious relationship territory?
Your birthday, maybe?
Was it the camping trip?
Yes.
This camping trip sounds interesting.
Okay, so so John's birthday is in October. We met in July, and so by that point, I wasn't seeing anybody else.
I don't think so.
But we hadn't had the talk. So I was oh, we should. Your birthday's coming up. We should totally go up to wine country and go camping, and we can go to a winery. We can go to a spa. And it was a great trip, and I learned that mud baths are not romantic. Not romantic at all.
No.
So we stayed in this campground, which the camping was really fun.
That was cool.
Outside of Calistoga, and we went to one of the spas there. I don't even remember which one, but it was they had a couple's room for a mud bath, and you're each in. And okay, I'd had mud baths before, but it was in a regular tub, and they just dumped maybe, I don't know, 4 cups of mud in with the water.
Oh.
This was not that. It was a trough of peat muck. And we each had our own trough, and they were kind of L-shaped. So our feet were pointing away, but our heads were together. And we get into this mud, and I mean you couldn't see through it. It was so thick. And so we both are sitting in there, and they gave you one of those kickboard pool floaty things, so you didn't start going too far down into the mud.
It was also really hot farther down.
Yeah, there was like hot spring water pumped into it, so you kind of had to keep your feet away from certain areas in the trough, otherwise the water was way too hot on your feet. So I'm just in my mind thinking, oh gosh, I planned this for his birthday, this was supposed to be romantic, this is not romantic at all. And so the spa attendant comes in to let us know, like, okay, your time in the mud bath is over. You can rinse off now. There's a shower over here, and there's a hose with a sprayer here. And we'll be back in a couple of minutes to take you to the relaxation room. And I thought, oh, that's a little weird that she just told us there's a hose with a sprayer. What? Like, okay. So we both get out. We're both covered in the weird peaty mud. We both shuffle over to the shower. We're trying to shower off. There are places that mud was not showering off of. And it quickly became clear what the hose and the sprayer were for.
And why it was a couple's massage or a couple's mud.
Yeah. There was no way you were going to be able to spray that mud off of yourself. And so we finally looked at each other at one point, and I was just like, you're going to have to spray the back for me because I just can't get the mud out of my butt. And so that was like our romantic weekend, was John spraying my backside, getting this mud out of me.
Were you so embarrassed in the moment? Or were you over it?
It sounds funny.
It does sound funny.
It's really funny now. I think in the moment, I wasn't like embarrassed physically. I was kind of embarrassed because I knew that John wasn't a spa person. And I was like, no, you know what, for your birthday, and I'm like, oh, it's for his birthday. And I made him do this thing that he's not even super interested in to begin with, and now we're like using a garden sprayer to get mud out of each other's crevices. This has gone wrong somewhere.
Yeah, and so how were you feeling about all that, John? Were you like,
I thought this was hilarious.
that's good.
No, that sounds like a very memorable experience. For
Yeah.
sure. That's awesome.
That's kind of a make it or break it, though, a little bit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that could have gone sideways.
Yeah, two people
The
really
different
have
person.
to like have a good sense of humor and like a certain amount of confidence about themselves and whatever, just I don't know, a vibe to be able to pull that off without
Or a certain amount of practicality,
freaking
even.
out or
You know,
something.
Yeah, I think that's where I was, of like, okay, well, this is not what I sold him on, but I really need his help to get this mud off of me.
Yeah. Oh man, that's great. That is kind of a true test, I feel like.
Yeah.
It was a little bit along the lines of our camping trip and being flooded in the tent and whatnot. It's just kind of like, yeah. How are you gonna react?
Yeah, and I think after that we like after that weekend, or maybe even during that weekend, we kind of like had the talk where it was like, okay, we're in, I guess. That's what's happening now.
Yeah.
We've gone through this together, this is our Vietnam here.
Yeah, this is walked across the hot coals, this is it.
Yeah.
I love it. That's so good.
So then how long before you how did it go? Did you like exchange keys? Did you move in together? Did you, I'm always curious about how people get from, all right, we're in this relationship, you know what I mean, to, all right, this is serious now.
I don't think we ever exchanged keys. I mean, you were living by yourself, but I had a roommate.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, no, we never exchanged keys. Yeah, but you moved in. So my roommate, it was a girlfriend who was my roommate. She ended up moving to Southern California in, I want to say, May. That sounds about right.
That sounds right.
Yeah, so when she told me she was moving, I was kind of like, well, I could get another roommate. But then I felt like, okay, well, that's going to be a year. Like, I wouldn't ask somebody to move in and be like, well, by the way, there's this guy I kind of like, and I might ask you to leave at any time. Because I had a rent-controlled apartment in the city, and I did not want to give up my apartment. So, so when my friend said she was moving for work, I was like, well, I guess I could bring it up to John. And so I brought it up to him, and I remember him saying, great, I've been waiting for you to ask me. Which was funny because I had kind of gone through all this like internal turmoil. Like, this felt like a really big deal to me. Like, I was like 90% sure, but just like a little bit kind of like, I kind of liked that he had his own place and he was really close to his work, and it was sort of nice that we could go and spend time in Palo Alto, or we could spend time at my place in the city. And so I wasn't like, it was spurred by the practical issue of my roommate moving out rather than I really want John to move in with me and take it to the next step.
No, I thought that when your roommate was moving out, I was like, oh, this seems like the chance. Like, if this is gonna happen,
your chance?
The chance.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
And I figured if it was gonna happen, then I thought that just made sense. Or like if it wasn't gonna happen, then it's just gonna be longer or whatever. But like when your roommate was moving out, I had like the internal thought of like, okay, well, if she asked you, would you want to move in? I was like, oh yeah, sure, whatever. And then you asked, and then I was like, I already knew what I was gonna say.
Mm.
And so how long was this after the first date?
7-ish months. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So obviously that was the right choice. Get rid of the roommate and ask John to move in with you.
Well, she didn't get rid of the roommate.
Well,
it just worked out that
a
way.
roommate in general.
Yeah.
That part was easy. The hardest part was integrating our cats.
Oh God.
Oh, there was cat drama.
There is cat drama.
It continues. None of them have died yet, so the cat drama continues.
That was so funny. Did they hate each other or what?
Well, John, so, oh God.
It's
so
like the cat Brady bunch.
Yeah, so I have 2 cats. And so I got a cat in my early 20s. My roommate at the time had a cat. So when I moved to California, that cat, my cat came with me, and then she was lonely. So I was like, oh God, well, I guess I have to get a second cat. So I got a second cat, and those 2 were like best buddies. It was all fine. John's cat has always been an only cat, and Warner, he
Thinks he's a person.
He never identified as a cat.
Oh.
He'd, really been living the bachelor life with John, watching basketball, like on his chair and a half, giant TV.
That's right.
So it was really also like, he'd just been free feeding, and, it was a real like, I don't know, bachelor cat utopia in John's apartment. And so coming into my place where there's 2 other cats, where there's regimented feeding times and feeding amounts, was a real big bummer for him, I think.
Yeah.
And so what's the gripe now? Is this cat still upset about the feeding times?
Still clinging onto that bachelor lifestyle from a few years ago.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's been a long time now. I think he just doesn't. I mean, he really is like thinks. It's funny because he's not aggressive. He's almost like a dog, and like he's very friendly. Well, Robin, you've met him, the big gray fluffy one. Yeah, he just wants all the attention.
He's like an only child.
He's like an only child, exactly.
I can relate.
Mm-hmm.
Almost. Pretty much. Yeah, definitely an only child. Yeah, so how was it living together? Did you have, like, some people are like, when they know somebody outside of living together, they're like, oh yeah, they're great. And then they live together, they're like, I had no idea, like, all these weird things that they do or whatever. Did you guys have that? Or was it
I didn't know.
No, I mean, I mean, it's kind of like how our relationship started, where there were like a few things to work out, mostly in my own head, but not like, not anything dramatic or big surprises. I mean, I think,
You had the toilet paper where it was facing one way, and then I had to start doing it the other way.
yeah, I mean, there's a few things I'm like a little bit like, that's not the way. Like cupboards need to be shut. The shower curtain needs to be pulled back across. I mean, that was actually the thing that really bugged me. It was like, you got to put the shower curtain back across the shower, otherwise it's going to mildew when it's all crumpled up with that moisture. And I eventually had to have a little talk with myself because I'm like, Kathi, you are getting so mad about this every day. And like, this is the thing. Like, this is the only thing that is wrong with this person. What? Like, why? Why are you getting so mad? Like, that's there's like that phrase of like, what's the price of admission? And I finally just had to be like, this is the price of admission with John. You have to pull the shower curtain across. Is that worth it? Yes, it is. Then get over it.
Yeah, that would have been a really sad story if you just let him go based on the shower curtain not being pulled across the shower. That would.
I mean, I've heard weirder things, Robin.
Yeah. I'm sure. I know. It's like, I think there's a lot of that bathroom kind of stuff because it's like that's not a place where you can just go and be, and no one's supposed to bother you, like be in your stuff or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm asking Jason, like, okay, well, what is really bothering you about what I'm doing? And like, every single thing that he said had to do with the bathroom. Like, it had to do with like things I would leave out on the counter, or I leave my hairbrush like in his drawer, or like, I don't know, just all this stuff. You left your, your wet towel, or you left your curlers out, 10,000 cords plugged in, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I can think of a few things now.
Yeah, sure.
I won't get into it.
Okay. Yeah, but anyway, but it was funny. Every single thing had to do with the bathroom. So I was like, all right, so everything's fine except for the bathroom. All right, well, we don't even have to worry about that.
That's your price of admission, Robin.
Yeah, exactly. So that's been a long ongoing because, yeah, I really spent a lot of time in my bathroom as a kid. It was like my own private bathroom, being an only child.
Wow.
And that was like, I had my stereo in there. I mean, like, I really get into it. This was like my shut the door, no one else exists, see ya. So that didn't really carry over into once we started living together. But
I don't think I've ever had my own bathroom.
I was just one of those weirdo kids.
Spoiled. She's
spoiled. Spoiled rotten.
Wow.
Yeah, have my own room. Yeah, but no air conditioning, but I digress. So like, from this point, like, did you have a moment where you both were like, oh yeah, this is it, like, we're like had the it's fate, we're soulmates, we're gonna be together forever moment, or was it just already happening?
A big soulmates fate. I just don't subscribe to that philosophy.
Yeah.
So I don't. Yeah, I think it was more of a like, how are we in a relationship together? Do the things that we see in our future overlap? What are the things that are really important to us? Like, what does it look like to integrate our lives? And so that was more of like the checkpoints to me, rather than you are the one, this is destiny's soulmate kind of thing. And perhaps that was just because we were older, that I yeah, I mean, I think certainly had we met 10 or 15 years before that, I could see myself kind of going down that train of thought. But, you know, at that point I was almost 30. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. And so do you think?
well, what about for you? Did you feel we were soulmates, John?
Yeah, I don't know how to answer that. I think it was definitely a situation where I was like, I know that I can do this for a very long time, if not forever. So I kind of was always I felt like I knew we would make something work pretty early, and I was just waiting for you to come around to that.
Hmm.
Yeah, maybe one critical part that I've left out is, you know, John moved into my apartment with me saying, by the way, I'm probably never going to have kids. By the way, I probably don't want to get married. It'd be great if you wanted to move into my apartment, but just so you know, those other things are probably not going to happen.
Wow.
Yeah.
And were you okay with that, John? Were you like, that's fine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think I'd always kind of looked at our relationship as something that I was like pretty interested in whatever it went. Like I thought there was a lot of different ways it could go, and was kind of like open to doing one thing or the other. So I guess I could always say that I was kind of knew ahead of time, but all I was sort of just like open to the option when it arrived. So
Yeah.
So
John's very good at waiting me out.
yeah. Yeah, he's got the patience for you to process all the things. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, then I guess we have to know, like, how did you go from that, from thinking I'm probably not going to get married or have kids, to being married and having a kid?
I don't remember the getting married part. I don't remember that. Do you remember what changed for me? I don't remember.
I don't remember.
But I do remember at one point, which I can't believe I said this to you, but at one point, maybe a year after you moved in, seems about right. I think I said to you, okay, you can ask me to marry you now. I just like randomly announced this. I've decided.
So you're doing a lot of work, like processing, kind of behind the scenes too.
Yeah.
Necessarily
Yeah.
about all this stuff. I mean, you probably are too, but not ad nauseum like all the time. You know, like you're thinking about it.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's
Do you remember that conversation?
Yeah, as well as the all right, finally, or like the like not like finally, but like just the oh, I was curious if this was ever going to happen. I kind of thought it would, but okay, cool, let's do it.
And so was there any reason, like, going into that, was there some reason you didn't want to get married? I mean, what was your reasoning with that?
I mean, I had been married before, and it just, I think when that relationship ended, I was kind of in this place of like, okay, well, I got the thing, and it didn't quite work out how I had planned. And so maybe I need to think about what a fulfilling life would look like differently. Like, I don't want to, yeah. So I think it was now that I kind of have have lived some life after having that perspective of like, no, I don't want to get married. I think I didn't quite know how to say, I don't want to think of marriage as an accomplishment or a thing that I have to do. And I didn't know how to hold it in my mind in that kind of nuanced way. So I just had to say no. just like, no, that's not part of my plan. And so I think I finally got to a place where I could say, well, yeah, if I met the right person and we had this kind of shared vision and, we did want to go on a life adventure today or together, then I would be interested in that.
Yeah. Yeah, to kind of be open to it again in a different scenario.
Exactly.
Yeah, gotcha. So then when she said that she was ready for you to ask her, were you like, did you have it all ready to go? And we're like, okay, great, I've had the ring for 5 months or whatever, or were you like?
No, I had to talk to your dad because I felt old school and I had to get his permission.
Yeah.
And we had a good talk.
My dad was wearing clothes during this talk, just to be like clear.
Wasn't too early in the morning or anything.
The door was.
It was good. No, it was Kathy's father is a very big advocate for her, and the things that he was sort of telling me were like things that I already knew about her, or like things that she wanted, like things about like how she kind of sees herself and sees her future and things like that, and was sort of saying to me, okay, well, just in case you didn't hear this already, which I doubt you haven't, by the way, this is kind of what to expect, and yeah, you can have my blessing, but by the way, you should know that this is kind of how it is.
It sounds like dad. Sounds like he was looking out for you.
Yeah, that's sweet.
Yeah, but it was, and everything he said was stuff that we had already discussed or I already knew, and so I mean, it wasn't like surprising, but I also thought it was like, okay, well, he kind of knows what, to the extent that he could as your dad, he knew what to kind of advocate for, I guess, or to sort of warn me about, or whatever it was that he was doing.
What my dad said to him was, Kathy does things with conviction. Which John, I don't know. That's all for me. That sounds like a warning. Just so you know.
Oh, it's great. No, I know that like once you've decided something, I don't even have to think about the other option anymore. I'm like, it's freeing. Yeah. So like whenever we do something where we're like trying to figure out what we're getting to go to eat for dinner or something like that, and you say like, I want this for dinner or I don't want this for dinner, I'm like, I'm not even going to try to convince you. I'm just going to go with the other option.
This sounds familiar.
I'm not going to talk you off of this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably a good balance. I mean, we do quite a bit of that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm always like trying not to have too much conviction, let's say, or be too bossy, because that's easy for me to do. And so I'm always like going, well, what do you think? Well, what do you want to do? Well, yeah. And then you're like, please stop asking me all these questions. Will you please just tell me what to do? I'm like, sure, I can tell you what to do all day long. But yeah. But I think that it seems to me anyway that most successful relationships have some element of that. It's like the balance. It's like if both people were just like super, everything had to be their decision every time. You just have all this conflict.
Yeah.
So.
Well, John, like what you're saying, I think is like, okay, there were these two options. This one is just, it's gone. It's no longer there. So why worry about it? It's like, okay, like this is great, like, or whatever, so yeah, I identify with that too, for sure. It's like,
but I also knew it was never coming later. It was never going to be oh, well, we thought we were going to do this, and then it kind of rears its head again 3 months later or something like that. You're like, no, it's gone. I don't even have to even kind of consider that it might come back.
There's a finality to the decision.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah, I can relate to that too. So then, well, as far as like children and all of that, did you guys have conflict there, or was that just something that kind of just worked itself out too?
I think we had the conversation around children even before you moved in. I mean, we had that pretty early in dating. We might have even had that before the mud bath incident.
We had it pretty early.
Yeah. Just because, when you're in your 30s, like that's an important conversation to be aligned around. So that was actually like the only time in our dating or relationship where I thought that we might not continue seeing each other. Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like you want to get that out just because if you feel like you have constraints around it that other people can't, then it's not going to work for somebody else. So you don't want to kind of go too far down a path where the things are good, but then that they ultimately aren't going to work out.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So I think I had a really intense job at that time, both time wise, and I was very emotionally invested in it. So I think during that time period, I just couldn't even see a path to having a child. As well as I think, for many women of our generation, there's this really complicated identity shift, both within yourself and from, family and society at large, that is sort of thrust upon you when you have a child. And I just didn't want any of that. Like, I couldn't really see, like, how is this possibly worth it? I mean, there's like all the work of having a kid. You have to figure out how to balance your work life. And like, I certainly wanted to keep working. John loves what he does, and, that takes up a lot of his time too. So it just felt sort of off the table in a way. And I didn't care about it enough to change the other things so that it could happen. Like, again, thinking about like what I really wanted in life, that wasn't a have to have for me. So I ended up shifting what I was doing for work, and through that found both more time and more balance, and less feeling so emotionally drained at the end of the day and at the end of the week, that I was like, okay, well, okay, I guess this is how other people feel when they, when they say, oh yeah, of course I can work and still have a child.
Right.
Yeah. However, I did still feel very wanting to get the timing of it right. So, at that point I was 33, 32. I was getting close to the geriatric pregnancy age. And so, there's like all these factors that I think, I'm not going to say people, because I think it was mostly in my own head, but there was like a lot of factors of like, okay, my age, okay, how much savings do we have? Okay, childcare is going to cost this much. What were my other things? I had like a whole list.
We had a spreadsheet.
Yeah, so I came to John and I was like, okay, because I knew John comes from an amazing family and has a ton of cousins. His sister is amazing. She had a child, our niece, who we adore. And it was like this, okay, well, maybe this is a possibility, but I need all the blocks to like be in the right place. And they're all like feel complicated. I'm not quite sure what to do with them. So I came to John and I'm like, you do math for a living. So I need you to create some kind of formula that's going to tell us when we should have a child.
Oh, I love it.
And he did it because he's incredibly patient. I don't know why you agreed to do this.
It was color coded and everything.
It was color coded. I'm trying to remember the things we had on it. There was like my age, your age, amount in savings. there were we probably still have it.
That's great.
There were like all these factors.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, I need you to tell me what year and what month we're supposed to get pregnant. And so I think like through that, I at least came to the conclusion of like, there's no right time. Like it's that there's no right time. And also you actually don't have that much control over it.
I thought you were going to say we looked at the spreadsheet and ran the algorithm and then it said this day, this year, whatever. I was going to be like, whoa, you guys should like make that into an app or something. No. Makes sense though. There really isn't the right perfect time, I don't think. Yeah, as much as we would like there to be. Yeah. Too many uncontrollable factors, I think. Wow, that's funny. I love that you made a spreadsheet though. You'll have to give that to Edward someday. Be like, here is the spreadsheet that helped bring you into existence.
One of many.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's funny.
So cool.
Yeah.
I love it.
So, yeah. So let's see. You guys have been together 8 years now. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a good long time. So, what do you think is like your secret sauce or your secret algorithm, your mathematical formula that keeps you together? I mean, like something that you could say that you know after this time that you've had or whatever.
John deserves all the credit for our relationship success.
Really?
Really nice. I don't think that's true, but
I think that's true.
I don't think that's true. I think that I feel like I have a lot of good instincts about things that need to happen in order to kind of keep the family and everything kind of in harmony. But I think that like I don't always have the ability to kind of, the first time it comes out of my mouth, it doesn't come out as like a really crisp, clear idea of what needs to happen. And sometimes I kind of like just throw that out into the universe. And then you look at me strange. And then you let me say it like 3 more times. And then you said, do you mean this? And then that's the plan. And then we're like, okay, that's what, yeah, that works. Sure, let's do that.
Yeah. I think the things that I've learned from you that have made this an 8-year relationship and no end in sight have been like a team perspective. Like, I never feel like anybody's compromising. Like, I feel like, like as a young person, like there was always this idea, or like the advice I was given is like, oh, well, just compromise. Like there's going to be some things that you have to give up, and you give a little and they give a little, and it's like, well, actually when you do that, everybody's given up something and nobody's happy in that situation. That doesn't always go very well. And I think that John, brought a new perspective that I really hadn't thought of before, which is more thinking of it as a team and like, okay, well, actually, how can everybody get what it is that they're after? It might not be precisely the thing, but like, let's work together to find a way where, I think you used the word harmony, which is probably a good descriptor. Yeah, so I think that has been really critical. I think the other thing just about you in particular is you default to yes. Like you're, when I'm bringing up something or like asking for something or, have an idea, like your default is like, yeah, let's work out a plan. Like, let's find a way to make that happen.
Yeah. That's funny that you say that because I think like in our conversation with Jamie and Jesse and Jamie's feedback about, listening to the podcast and knowing us and stuff. And she's like, I just think that Jason wants you to be happy. And she's like, and I think that Jesse just wants me to be happy. And so whatever crazy thing I say, like, let's tear up the yard and, you know,
Have a food
have a
forest.
food forest or whatever, you know, whatever it is, he just says, yeah, okay, I can make that happen. Sure. And we have a lot of that too. And so it's interesting that you have kind of the same dynamic. So I think that I think at the end of the day, that is kind of what it's all about. It's like you do want the other person to be happy, and you know, you're kind of willing to make the leap or whatever to try to make it happen. So maybe we're on to something.
Yeah. It is Team Babe after all.
Yeah, that's true. Yes.
Oh, I didn't even think about that when I said the team thing.
It's true. It's true.
Mhm.
I don't know if we haven't always been on the same team, but we are now.
Well, not always, but
Yeah, not always.
since we've been together.
We had
Well, I want to put the question back to you because you guys have been married for 19 years.
well, we're coming on 21.
Oh, this year was 20.
Last year, so this year is going to be 21.
Uh-huh.
It was 21. It already happened. Sorry. What month are we in again?
Yeah. Like COVID is taking a toll on your.
It's still the month of 2020.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, how is marriage different now for you?
Than it was in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to go first, or shall I?
Well, to me, I don't know. It just feels a whole lot more kind of harmonious altogether. Like I think I've always had the perspective that whatever the issues were that we were going to have or go through, we're going to figure it out. But it just seems like it's getting better and better and easier, like to get along and figure out how to support each other and like kind of push forward the team Babe mission, you know, together. So I don't know. It feels like we just keep growing.
Yeah.
We just keep growing, getting tighter and more on the same page.
Mm-hmm. And
continually.
I think for me too, it's like, I remember saying this to somebody who was like, I know Jason so much better now than when we got married. So it's like, I think even though I felt like I knew you as well as, you know, at the time, I think even though when we were married, I was like, I still feel like there's a lot of stuff I just don't know, you know what I mean? And so now I kind of feel like I do like fully know you. Like we're totally like more in sync, I would say. Where for a while there was a little bit more of a mystery. Like, all right, what is it that makes you tick? Like, what is wrong with you? You know, all these
mostly
questions.
me. She talks plenty, you know, like she will definitely express her feelings, but you know, me, it just takes longer to tease these things out, you know.
Yes.
So thinking back to the start of your marriage, do you think that, because you were 19, 20?
I was 18.
Do you think you could have even expressed who you were at that point?
No way.
Yeah, and I think I actually wasn't either, even though I thought I was at the time. I thought,
of course, yeah.
really being me, her, you know, like.
I probably would have expressed something bullshit, you know, like I don't know. Yeah, like
Some movie lines.
Or my favorite.
River quotes.
Yeah. No, I think it's actually taken me a really long time to really get a handle on like what I'm all about and be honest about it too. So yeah, I guess we just kind of had to grow up together, sort of. Even though I thought I was completely grown up at 18. Like I was like, I'm done with this, and I am now an adult, and I don't need to know anything else. I'm good.
I think most people are like that, though.
My I don't know why I'm talking about my dad so much, but I'm going to say one more thing about my dad. But he really, like, all through my childhood drilled into me, like, wait until you're 30 to get married. Wait until you're 30 to get married, because then you'll know who you are and you'll know what you want. Yeah. And so I kind of, like, had this belief that that's what you do and that's that's the way, that's the best approach, like that's the path to success. And so it was really interesting to listen to your guys' story and just, like all of the things that happened, early in your marriage and then, like through your 20s. And I had a really different perspective. I'm gonna let my dad know he was wrong, because through all of that, not even like the specifics of your story, but there's so much that happens in your 20s that is hard. It's so hard, and it's like the first time it's happening, and it feels like the biggest things. And I was alone for a lot of that. I didn't have somebody to share the burden with. I didn't have my team. And so when I was listening to you guys, it just like made me think like, oh, like there's an upside to having your life partner from the start of your 20s, because you get to go through all of that together. And sure, it can make it more complicated, but you also have somebody that's been through all that with you.
Yeah, that's true. And I don't think that we necessarily even really thought about it at the time. Like what being in our 20s would have been like being single, and it's just because that we just didn't have that perspective, but I know we definitely have friends though that certainly have, expressed that too, where it's just kind of like, it's really hard to go through all this stuff alone and feel isolated and feel lonely, and I feel like really fortunate that we haven't had to have a lot of loneliness. I mean, I think I did as a kid, as an only child, I had quite a bit of loneliness, even though I didn't mind it so much. I think looking back on it now, it was a little bit of a lonely existence, but so just having one other person was like, wow, look at all these people. This is a lot. Yeah.
How is the new mattress working out?
It's working out good.
It's great.
Yeah. I
really
like it.
liking it. Yeah. My shoulders don't hurt anymore, so it's great.
Yes. Mattress works out. We were a little sketched out for a second, but yeah, it was all good. Yeah. Well, I think I have one more question for you. What is, if you could pick.
Jeez, you're keeping them low.
It's short though. It's short.
Okay.
What is each of you, your favorite band or music? Like, it could be a band, it could be a song, it could be a genre.
Oh no.
This was our least favorite question on your list, Robin. It's not a good ending.
Is it because you have so different tastes, or is it just because it's so hard to choose?
So hard to choose. For me, music is enjoyment rather than a passion, devotion. This is the one sort of thing. It's like it's a background soundtrack to my life rather than like something I'm super passionate about. So I think for me, I really enjoy all different kinds of music, with the exception of metal and Coldplay.
Perfect.
Oh, see, now I said that I asked. That's good. Yeah. What about you, John?
I just feel like it's very fluid to me.
Yeah.
It feels like if you ever force me to pick my top 5 things, then I could probably tell you in that moment. But then if you ask me a week later, I would say, oh no, it's totally different and this is why, or something. So it feels like I feel like a lot of that stuff is sort of like the soundtrack of my life, and that as my life goes along, the soundtrack changes and things that I listen to all the time, or
yeah.
So I don't
as an example, we walked down the aisle to a Smashing Pumpkins song.
Which
Tonight, played by string instruments.
Wow.
And then our first dance was a Billy Joel song. So like we really just wide range.
Yeah, I'll go with that. Fine. Billy Joel. There you go.
You can't pick that as your favorite song.
I just did.
Oh boy. Okay.
Conviction.
You could do
I'm
better.
trying.
Like that. I don't know.
Decision made.
Well, I love that you used that Smashing Pumpkins song. That's very romantic to me.
Yeah.
Well, the funny thing was,
We also had them play White Wedding, and
White Wedding.
the violinist came up to us because we were kind of waiting for Father Chuck to get his act together, and so the violinist came up and he's like, "So, White Wedding, are you cool if we just like really go for it?" And we were like, "Yeah."
That sounds like a fun wedding.
It was fun, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was funny because people didn't. Well, obviously, most of the people that were guests probably didn't really even know that song, and then the few that did know the song,
The Smashing Pumpkins song.
the Smashing Pumpkins,
Yeah.
were out of context. So you're kind of like, "What am I?" This is a very nice song with some string instruments, but sounds familiar. It's sort of like Muzak, but it's not quite.
Yeah.
Like, what is this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah. Well, when we get that redo wedding.
You're gonna have a redo wedding?
Oh, I keep talking about it. First, it was like 20 years we'll do the redo wedding, and then it's 25 years, and whatever. I think it's more like a renewal of vows, but it's more about me wanting the chance to, like redo my outfit and my decor. Because thinking back on it now, I'm like, that was dumb.
She wants to edit it.
Like to edit it, use Pinterest, you know what I mean? Yeah. I loved our wedding, but just the aesthetics of it were a little bit.
Why don't you just throw yourself like a really fancy birthday party?
I know, I thought about that, but I don't know if people would understand if I came to my birthday party in a wedding dress. So they'd be like, wow, this girl's weird.
Just call it a fancy dress party.
That's a good idea. Maybe after COVID's over,
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you were saying you have that t-shirt, your fantasy outfits crumpled up in your drawer. I have ball gowns and furs in my back closet. So you let me know when your fancy dress party is going to be, and I'm ready.
This is why we get along so well.
You might need to give me a little bit of a heads up.
You have your suit. It's all. John's ready at a moment's notice. He's been wearing the same suit for like 7 years.
I love it. Yeah. We'll have to get you a suit.
Yeah, I need some.
Yeah, it's time.
Yeah.
Probably time for a new suit. Well, thanks so much, you guys. This was really fun, and I feel like I got to know all kinds of stuff that I hadn't heard about. So this was awesome.
Yeah, great time.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Let's do it again sometime.
Yeah, totally.
We're in.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night, you guys.
Hey, we're back. That was a fun little interview, wasn't it?
That was fun. Yeah, I had a good time. Did you have a good time?
I know I had a good time.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kathi and John.
Yeah.
Let's do it again.
Let's do it again. Yeah, it was fun. It was so cool to hear like a different type of love story, how it all worked out.
Yes.
How it's working out, and it's completely different from ours, yet the same in so many ways.
So true.
That's right, man. Just dropping knowledge over here. I can't help myself. But yeah, I think like, one of the biggest takeaways for me from this time, this crazy COVID land time, and like, not seeing people as often, not going and doing things is like, dude, when we can do that stuff again, I am really going to appreciate it. Like, oh wow, like we're just going to go over to somebody's house and hang out, or they're going to come to our house and hang out and like chat, and it's not even
have to wear a mask or anything.
Yeah, it's not. It has
amazing.
Almost nothing to do with the monster web or the interwebs or the whatever, the BBSs, the AOLs. Nothing.
I'm all about that like in-person conversation.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, we'll all be living underground in our mole communities and stuff to escape the ultraviolet rays and the fires.
So keep an eye out for the underground dinner party invitation that may be coming your way soon.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It'll be in the back cover of the mixtape sleeve, and there will be a decoder ring that we will send out separately if you call the voicemail and leave the correct key phrase.
Which must have to do with giving us money.
Yeah.
But anyway. So are you ready to move on to our next segment?
Yeah, we have this show now has segments, man.
Oh, we're all about segments
What
on
is
this
up
season.
with that?
I
Yeah.
mean, we're really getting into it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, so we wanted to bring a little bit of new flavor to this whole thing, you know. And yeah.
Flavor.
Pull down that cheddar. That sweet, sweet internet cheddar cheese with hit segments like it's an interview with somebody or
Babe words.
babe words.
Are you ready to do babe words?
Yeah, are
Because
you
we've
ready to
already
do babe
done that.
words?
We've already done that interview. Let's do the babe words.
Okay, is it time?
Oh, it's time.
Yeah. Yeah, we thought we would dig back into the pre and post-pubescent adolescent mind of a young poet of sorts, who happens to be sitting right here next to me, hosting this very podcast, this literary monster known as Babe Fader.
I'm an author, you know.
I know. Me too.
Self-published. You're actually published, but I'm self-published, which should give you a little insight into my ego. So we thought it'd be fun to pull a little gem out of the archives and share it with you all. And I will cringe as you read.
Okay. So maybe can you set the stage a little bit, or do you want to talk about it afterward?
Oh no, I'll set the stage.
When is this from?
No, so this particular poem would be from about 1989. I would have been 9 years old and in 4th grade.
Okay.
I have really excellent penmanship, just FYI.
Or penwomanship. Or penpersonship.
That's true too.
Yeah.
And I discovered poetry. I don't remember how exactly. Perhaps it was a unit that we studied in English. I really don't know. But I got really into it. And there's a whole binder of nonsense that we can pull from. So this is the first one. We thought this would be a nice little light, kind of a light fare for this particular episode. And it's called Footsteps.
Yeah. We didn't want to drop the full weight of, you know, what this literary monster over here can produce on the first go. And it's got to build slightly. So this one is entitled Footsteps. As she walks in beauty, then slips away like a beautiful ghost on a summer's day, her eyes like crystals, her lips like rose. But maybe she isn't real? Nobody knows.
Wow. That was really epic, right?
Just let it hang there. Yeah, man. Deep.
Deep, right?
Some deep 9-year-old thoughts there,
I
man.
had some really deep 9-year-old thoughts. That's probably not the worst of it, though.
Was that an assignment, like a school assignment?
No.
No? You're just like...
I probably had one school assignment. I turned it in. I probably got like some good feedback. And I was like, oh, shit. This is like, I'm all about this poetry stuff now.
Was this a poetry class?
No.
No? Just like an English class or
Yeah.
something? Yeah.
Yeah. I you know me. I'm kind of one of those people that likes to go on, and that extends to paper and pencil also.
The weirdest thing that I just realized is that, okay, you were 9 when you did that, so about 7 years later, we got together. Oh, fuck.
Yeah, that's kind of disturbing in a way, but I think it's fine. I think it was all fine.
Yeah.
I did a lot of maturing.
It's not like I was 35 or something.
No.
You know.
And I did a lot of maturing in between 1989 and 1996.
You did.
I did.
Yeah.
So I pretty much done grown up in that time. So it's all good.
You did, yeah. Genius Girl did too good.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep. Had to just quit the whole system, you know? So that's where you come in.
Excellent. Well, that has been Babe Words.
Babe Words.
Let us know, if anybody has like any ideas for jingles for that segment, the Babe Words segment, let us know. If not, I'll probably make one myself. Babe Words.
Yeah.
You know, something catchy.
Snappy.
Snappy.
Yeah.
Just
All
like
right.
this podcast.
For sure. So we hope you enjoy season 4.
Yeah.
This is just the beginning. There's more to come.
Yes.
So stay tuned.
Yeah, and thanks for listening. And like, if you have any ideas for people that we should talk to, because we do want to keep this coming,
Oh yeah.
let us know. Or hey, if you have an interesting relationship, you should probably get in touch. We should talk. You should talk with our producers, and see if we can put some together. And that goes for couples telling love stories. That goes for friends telling their love story,
family,
bands,
bands,
just anything interesting.
Yep.
And we're really excited for some of the chats we have coming down the pike.
Oh yeah.
So stay tuned, and thanks for listening and watching. And I love you, babe.
Love you too, babe.